Well, here we are, back to this. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between? Welcome to another new video. We're going to be continuing on the little saga of my notes on my time. Now, of course, at first, with these first few pages, the first four that we went through, it was very much sort of a account of the things that had happened, what I had experienced and such. But it was also slow. I was still in lockdown there until my birthday, all the way on the 26th of April. And I left on the 5th of May, so, I didn't have much time. But because there was such a lingering time of just being in my room, maybe seeing the rehab person that did the fitness and trying to get my body working again, or some of the doctors that would come in. I was very isolated, very alone. So, one thing I do remember, and it's been a while since I've looked at this, but one thing I do remember that happened is that this account, because there was so little happening to me, the account sort of evolved more into thoughts, into introspection. And I think the fifth page might be where that starts to happen. So, of course, on the fourth page, where we had dropped off, I was once again talking about food. Their good attempt at breakfast by including something they called French toast. That didn't turn out too well. And double portions were a challenge for me. It took me a while to figure out how to actually get my double portions, but I did get them eventually, and it made the already wonderful food even better. But here we go, page 5, we're starting. One fun thing about deciding to take the time to record one's experiences and thoughts is realizing how very little one does or thinks. And in general, hold on here. What's this? Odd. Okay, I think that's odd. Odd in general, since when I have great thoughts, I can't record them, and then they're gone. Sometimes they come back, but lose their context, and all of the brilliance becomes stupidity. I'm feeling that way about this train of thought, actually. I had a YouTube account for a while, and I genuinely enjoyed it as a creative outlet to explore thoughts and share thoughts and interests, but eventually life just drained me, and the effort to edit, to film, to even just have ideas became hard. The strain of to work, to live, broke me, and now I'm here, bedbound and lazy, but feeling better and happier than in ages. Tilde. Tildes are my little scene break. At least one part of the great mystery has been solved by the arrival of something I gave up all hope on: a letter from my mother. The suspicion and assumptions all were washed away because she is my mother, and just as stupid as I am. She broke her hip the same day I went to the emergency room. Yeah. One thing she said in her letter was that writing can also be considered rehab. As someone who has written 5 pages of this in 4 days, I must agree. Even before this, writing has always been a penniless passion of mine. Never good writing mine. Unfortunately, my mother's letter didn't answer all the questions, so I'm still on the hunt for lost memories in the media of 2 months, in the median of 2 months, known as November and April. So once again, the wait continues. I also decided to write my workplace to see how I was before this happened, in the name of good workplace conditions. I hope they found me insufferable. When I was a child, outside of a few rare moments of recklessness, I was never reckless at all. I didn't like running all that much, definitely disapproved of jumping. I had opinions on health and safety and was vehemently opposed to sport participation as I could be, after all, risk of injury. And in a world of every child, I find it both funny and prideful that I got a high score over so many kids. Limb injuries are my fortnight. Victory Royale. Or at least I thought I would get one. The 20. What is this? Oh, yeah. The 23rd has happened 3 times for me. Not as bizarre a time travel event, but because my lack of a phone leaves me with no way of remembering the date, even when I had one, it wasn't on in. It wasn't an instant memory, just something I could look at easily, along with my inability to remember names. I dedicated my letter to my workplace's staff. It's actually rather hilarious. I only now concerned with. I barely remember my aunt, uncle, even sister, especially since all there were. Since. Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah. Especially since all of this with them was so distant and non interactive with anyone except the male parent. This, along with the ease I have, detached myself from people who may be or even were friends, has definitely played a role in things. In a similar vein, while I've never had a boyfriend properly, largely due to being closeted until 29, 28 actually, I have had a number of near boyfriends. Guys I found deep and lovely connections with, but who situation, their travel, and other roadblocks served this severed ties before they could form. Even when their names fade, their faces stay. That feels much stronger to me. The memory of faces is magical. I scribbled on the side of this page because I forgot it was writing paper and not scrap paper, but I don't want to lose my format, so I'll write around it. I did. I suppose this ends up reflecting my wider approach to life, never fixing or avoiding problems, merely skirting around them, hoping I maintain equilibrium. The only problem with this approach is that eventually you realize equilibrium can be a curse. Maybe that's part of what landed me here. The gradual madness of a regular, sterilized form of life, but then again, maybe I should wait to hear from the people, the professionals, before turning myself into a novelistic trope. I don't think any of the this writing is good. My pen isn't burdened by hopes of sales or awards, just a mixture of wanting to explore and contextualize my thoughts and feelings, but also because I'm bored as fuck. At least this gives me something I value. Art as a selfish endeavor is undervalued. There's beauty in producing art for the sake of others, but I love the specific passion of something done just because you want it. Today, a Tuesday, I finished with roast pork. It was soft, savory, and filling. The sides were noodles and pasta, both usual fare, and chocolate ice cream. It was fantastic. My mother has always made good pork, so I was grateful for a meal with nostalgia attached to it. Food, food is its own memory. As with all insomniacs, my attempts to develop better sleep cycles was doomed from the outset. Definitely, still is a lost cause. I may be able to salvage this round though. While I sit in some middle ground of wide awake exhaustion, I think back to the best years of this foolish trait. The impromptu and often inappropriate sex was fantastic. But my favorite were the straight boys, the ones who knew what you were, played with it, teased it for the attention. He'd show his abs, flex his arms, lick his lips with a lusty smirk, but no more. His ego was fulfilled, and my dreams were vibrant desecration. But a bad habit of my mind is to go back to the worst men, and I do mean the worst. It's actually just the hate fuck trope, I guess. I want to hurt him. I want him to hurt me. No redemption arc or change of heart, just dismissive growling, breath, and evil scowls. To a strange and somewhat depressive degree, hate is easier to nourish than love. Once you choose it, the things that define and fuel it are yours to decide, whereas in love, the interactions are both parties. I end up fearing too much or not enough from either of us. The mystery of my mother was finally solved in the most hilarious way possible. She didn't die, she didn't disown me, didn't run away from home. Instead, in the style of someone who raised someone as stupid as me, she broke her hip, went to the hospital the same day as I did. She had her phone, which is the only good thing for texting, and if I tried to teach her mobile outlook, she'd end up with two broken hips, and I had nothing. Now all she had was the post office and packing tape. Someone on the news described. Oh no, I don't want to keep. I scratched this out. Yeah, I want to make this. I wrote this down just as a note for my mom that she would like. I watched the birds this morning. The little speckled ones were pursuing their meal of seeds, bugs, even the odd breadcrumb. Then a large, intimidating blackbird showed up. He watched them, selected his victim, pecked him once on the head, then hopped around in taunting circles before flying away. I love that little bastard. He was a piece of shit. I didn't imagine it's very easy being a speckled bird. I'd sent all my letters out and given the post what felt like an ample time, as if to make up for my lost Christmas. The wait was so long and tense. Fish tacos did soothe my soul, though. These contained huge fillets of crispy fish. The species is unknown, but their contribution is appreciated. Some grape, let's see here, some grapevine gossip implied my stay may be approaching an end. Well, I've definitely improved. I worry I don't have the progress I need for this step. Alternatively, this could be good as I get not to insult anyone, but that horrifying concept. Hold on here. Oh, I see where I got confused here. Alternatively, this could be as good as I get. Not to insult anyone, but that's a horrifying concept. I say that now, but adapting happens. Not having the pain would be the best part, but funny expectation is that at one point all of my worries about home, now they're about rehab. My room is shiny and shimmery now. A nurse brought some metallic balloons and a banner to celebrate my imminent birthday. Items of intrigue came in a few times, and as someone who has had minimal to no birthday celebrations after 12, the palaver is both enjoyable and uncomfortable. As said before, signs of affection trigger rejection. Silly because silly because I caused this, putting a modest pen-written sign on the door to announce my birthday, which is now framed by bunting from the same nurses who brought the balloons. It's small but meaningful. And just like that time, played another cruel joke on me. I slept in 34 and awoke. Oh my god, I made myself older. Excuse this. I slept in at 34 and awoke 35. I slept in at 33 and woke up 34. Of all the horrible aspects of losing 5 fictional months, is it this day came so fast? I can't even come to terms with it. A birthday is a meaningless calendar mark, but also the most significant thing. I'm in a new stage before finishing the last. I slept in November to awake in April. Now, more comfortable with reality at last, I still have a ticking bug about the future. Will I live to see May? Or will I wake up in July? How terrible to just miss Pride like that. I leave 33 the way I enter 34. Tired, dissatisfied, confused, and hungry. Quite frankly, there's only one I'd like to change. After all, coffee and energy drinks cover a multitude of sins. The odd thing about birthdays is that we bestow them with such power in both arrival and departure, a finish line and departure and starting pistol. Hold on. Arrival and departure, a finish line and a starting pistol alike. For dreams, goals, love, and the rest, the only day with such frenetic devotion would be New Year's, but it's still just a day like any other. We wake up, have a good fart, go to the bog, and eat something, usually shameful, for breakfast, but it still has a little magic, even when it's not what you wanted. Happy birthday to me, in a strange hospital, with no present family, a bottle of Diet Coke, and a square of dark chocolate. Genuinely, you idiotic weirdo. Happy birthday. I still find myself writing with trepidation for correspondence. The biggest struggle with mail is how illogical it is. My letters go to a town quite far away to go to a town an hour away. Still, it's a nice diversion. In spite of my foot being stiff and swollen, the walking is getting gradually better. I'd still fall like a sack of potatoes without my walker. The weather continues to exist in chaos. Bright, warm, sunny days enveloped in aggressive bursts, followed by sundown chills. The cold nights have an odd effect on me. While I hate colder months, I love snow, and regardless of real or fictional time, jumps. I'm sad I didn't get to experience snow. I really did. I did. I experienced so much. Snow is what got me into the hospital largely. So, yeah, my memories were massively affected. The soft fluffiness, the beautiful gentle crunch underfoot, and the playful tickle of flakes on the face. I suppose from this romantic outlook, it's obvious I've never lived in blizzard territory. I can be quite forgiving of 4 inches of snow, which makes me more generous to it than my men. When I was little, living in Arizona, on a drive home from school, a glance out the car window graced me with a glorious sight. A beautiful horned beast I'd wrongly identified as a mountain goat. He stood there stoically in the waterless San Pedro River, now shimmering with snow. This memory enhances my love. That majestic beast lives on, as clear as the day, stoic, stern, cold, but exuding gentleness. I guess that's what I desire in a mate, an old goat. I just, I don't bring this up just as padding, but because a new environment and new men have me feeling and thinking. After a long time of knowing who the the sleazeballs and lost causes were among me, I now see a trickle of potential, a realistic potential at any rate. This is basically 60% retirement home energy. My first day as a free citizen is here, and I plan to embrace it. Try to go to the gym, do the activities, have a wander. And one thing I've wanted to do as an old man is go outside with some oats, only option for now, and feed the birds. I've spent time watching them from my window, but my patch isn't the most prime scavenging ground until now. Or not. Apparently, residents aren't allowed into the front yard. But then again, if it's with how the rest of the day has been, weekends are always strange. Apparently, something very unexpected has put staff into a kerfuffle, so I can't complain too harshly. That said, I did order my coffee 4 hours ago. Now, if it comes, it'll coincide with my lunch coffee, something that makes it very hard to deny an addiction. My first and only activity was simple but enjoyable, getting my nails painted. I've only ever done it myself, and horribly at that. Uh, a metallic light painted cut blue green, sort of. Blues are usually my preference. There was going to be a movie night, but fatigue went out in the end once again. Lunch outpaced dinner, but that seems easy when you pass off thick pieces of deli meat as ham steak. The other option was a chicken casserole, and now I only think, what if? I bet that casserole was fucking awesome, although they were dubious on chicken, to be fair. Some of the birthday decorations came down today. The rest I can't reach. I still hope for some post to arrive, but I try not to fixate on it instead. Instead, I focus on learning the layout of this place and the good secrets. I was told there were books or a library, but I found a take and leave bookshelf in the sitting room. No little shop, though. They should have a little shop. You know, we're only at 25 minutes. I know I've said I didn't want these to be super long, but I just have 1.5 more pages. Let's just go on through it. Joking references aside, it's a good idea that would it just add to the bank, but add to outreach and awareness of the facility. The amount of silly products, businesses, and even people who have their own branded lots, tote bags, coffee cups, and clothes would definitely justify the same for a place that helps so many people. Even with freedom, Sundays continue to be a drudge. There was supposed to be a game night, but that fell through, so I sat, listened to the old people chatting over coffee. It was nice. They're very comfortable to be around and have a soft mannerism. It's different to louder, crazed youth / people my age. This is yet again fully consistent with my youth, always spending time talking to and enjoying my elders over my peers. Even the time I wanted to befriend peers, it never worked out for long. Maybe I'll be more persistent in that now. Emphasis on maybe. I ultimately have no confidence or understanding of how to make first moves, so I depend on other people for that. Perhaps they're in the same boat. I enjoy doing a good job, but I despise being told so. If any testament to love or affection existed in me, it would express repulsion. Perhaps some trust issues, since overt friendliness makes me feel that same way. Perhaps because people in my life who have exhibited those traits are the ones who've hurt me the worst way, while the reserved, trepidatious people have been lovely. Maybe because that's the kind of person I am. The plot may come back now that it's Monday, but to some degree for now I feel like it's lost. Shortly after sending my letters out, I remembered confidentiality clauses exist, and I probably can't identify myself by writing my name on paper. Still, my new provider may offer some reach. While I appreciate the privacy and protection, it's annoying. I have to put this much effort into finding out about myself. I missed out on a fitness class and I was interested because I was being held hostage in the shower. Maybe the lady forgot about me, but I ended up having to slowly walk the locked chair out of the shower to obtain freedom. I've spent the last 20 minutes feeling like I had mild heat stroke. The rest of the day went smoothly, though I opted for rest over activities. My mother sent a letter, worried about hospital bills arriving in spite of insurance. I'm getting to arranging travel and meetings with staff. Aside from that, I'll also be getting my first haircut in literally, I can't remember how long. I probably won't deviate far from my standard, but having more length than ever, and it has me wanting to experiment, daily with the back of my head, since being unable to see it has usually had me chopping it like the sides uniformly. An hour later, the hair looks good. A few areas I'd like to refine, but still, I call this a total win. There's been a card game of some kind, and I'm curious, but also just not into card games. Outside of that, the only other activity today is nails, and mine have held up pretty well. The haircut was a strangely therapeutic experience. I've had bad experiences with a few stylists back home, and inevitably gave up. This lady listened to me, planned, communicated her actions, and asked for my input mid cut. Even with a few stylistic, even the good haircuts I've had were never this involved or considerate. I spent some time getting the new journal together, but I'll probably keep this project going as well. Copy paper from for consistency. For all the writing I've done, my memory doesn't seem much better. I've used this as a reference sheet more than once. And I still triple check the calendar to know the date and time. I wonder if this will ever change. My mother has buckets of memories and recalls them so easily from her childhood of sneaking past the property fence to get fruit, or her only spanking being after chasing a cat into the street, of one day turning into a man who wanted to lock her up and never let her leave, to the sweet, nice man who designed purses. Her book is penned, bound, and shelved in a beautiful glory, while mine is flimsy, loose sheets tossed about, just like this story, pages lost in the unrelenting winds of time. I missed out on bingo because of a misunderstanding, but I still had the chance to meet a dog. After a disheartening dinner, chicken, but less dry than usual, I sat in my made up room and waited. I saw him walk past. Maybe they started at the other end. Then he walked by again. He missed me. Skipped me. Silly as it may be, I was emotional, with wet eyes. But no. I got into my chair, went as fast as I could. I knew the last I I knew the last hall he'd be in. And as I got there, I was so nervous, and then there he was, a husky with white and silver fur, eyes glistening like icy blue. The sense of him was one of peace, gentleness, kindness. I pet his fluffy coarse fur so much, stared into his lovely eyes, and talked to him. Finally, I asked his name. It was Cody. Kodi. No words. And just like that, Big died. Or rather, my insurance coverage. From there, it ceases. There are no further words. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep penning it, but there really was a lot of nothing. I got home, able to stand, roughly, but potentially able to walk, but not far, not far at all. Then for me and my mother, it was more months of struggling to continue recovery, to continue to get better, to continue to pretend we were so much better than we were and that we were in a good place. It wasn't anywhere near as good as it should have been. But that's life when all you really have to depend on is insurance. It was long and confusing and so aggravating, especially because so little happened, for me at least. I have so few memories and so few things that really impacted my life. But at the same time, it was one of the most devastating and intense moments for me to live through. I don't know. A lot. Just so much stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Of course, remember, life always gets better as long as you work at it brick by brick. See you guys.